Hello everyone, this is the first lesson recording for IM1 September 11th, 2020. So we started off with doing some review problems on function notation. Remember that f of x is same as y. Okay, f of x and say y, they mean the same thing. So what used to be we called y-axis, now we can represent that as f of x. And that represents the output. What is the input? Input is still the x. X is the input, y or f of x is the output. So when we're talking about f of negative 4, what does that mean? F of negative 4 means the x value is what? What is in place of x? It's negative 4. The x value is negative 4. So we're looking for x value to be negative 4. And so we're talking about this point on the graph right here. So let me use my handy dandy notepad. Let me get rid of that. So negative 4, and the point we're dealing with is right here. Okay, so what is the coordinate for this point? The point is negative 4 comma 2. Okay, that means the x value was negative 4, the y value was 2. Right? That's the coordinate of that point. That means the y value or the output was positive 2. So I am going to write my 2 there. What about f of 0? What about f of 3 and f of negative 5? I would like you to pause the video and see if you can figure this out. Okay? I am going to assume that you've had a chance to do that. So now we're going to go through the answers together. F of 0. What does f of 0 mean? That's the x value, right? This is the x value. So that means x is 0. Where is x 0? X is 0 right here. Okay? Now, what is the y value of, what is the coordinate of this point? It's 0, comma 0. Okay? So if it's 0, 0, then the x value, when the x value was 0, what was the y value? Was also 0. So the f of 0, the output at when x was 0 was also 0. What about f of 3? F of 3, find the x value to be 3, and the graph is right here. Okay, so the graph is right there. Actually, let me do that again. The graph is right there. Okay, and what is the coordinate for that point? Okay, so that point, the x value is negative 3, oh I'm sorry, positive 3. Positive 3, that's positive. And the y value is, there's negative 1, there's negative 2. It's not quite negative 2, so I'm going to call that maybe negative 1.8. That means I can say that the y value, the output, when the x value was 3, the output was negative 1.3, negative 1.8. Okay? Alright, then let's do f of negative 5. f of negative 5. That means we need to find when x is negative 5. Find my x. Negative 5 is right here. So this is the point we're talking about. And what is the coordinate for that point? That's negative 5, comma, and what is the y coordinate of this point? Is 0. The vertical position is 0. Okay, which tells me that x is going, when x was negative 5, the output was 0. So the output was 0. So that's what you should have. Okay, let's get out of that. Alright, let's move on to the next slide. Alright, so quick announcement. You just had the quiz 2 last lesson. The scores are available on the canvas. If your quiz score is less than 80%, then you have the option to retake the quiz. To do so, what you need to do is you need to come see me during study hall on Monday at 10:10 to 10:40 to practice. And this will be mandatory. This will be required for if you got 70% or below and you would like to try to do the retake. It's not meant to be a punishment, but it's really meant to help you to figure out what are you doing wrong so that you can actually improve on your grade. Okay, so you need to be coming to work through the quiz together with me, and then the next day on Tuesday at 10:10 you're going to have a chance to do the retake, and hopefully you'll do much better and improve your grade, and you'll be far better prepared for the unit test next Friday. Okay, so goal for the day, what are we doing? We are going to review some common whoops or mistakes from homework and quiz. Okay, and then we're also going to be describing function as being increasing or decreasing behavior. And also we're going to go into domain and range, describing function as domain and range. Okay, so let's get started. To begin with, let's go over some homework and quiz questions. So one of the problem was negative p plus 4. Evaluate negative p plus 4 when p is negative 3. Okay, and the most common problem is the fact that you are not using the parentheses. Okay, you need to be using the parentheses. The first thing you should do is you should write the expression negative p plus 4, negative p plus 4, but instead of where the p was, you should write a parenthesis and then plus 4. Everything else the same. Then when you find what p value is, you're going to substitute that in. So when you do that, you're going to see that negative, negative, which cancels out to be positive. Okay, a lot of students lost that negative, negative, one of the negative, and this became negative 3 plus 4, and therefore it became positive 1. That's not true. It's going to be positive 7 because negative, negative is going to be 3. What about the next problem? 3p squared plus 4p when p is equal to 2. Again, I'm going to write the expression with a parenthesis. Wherever I see a variable, I'm going to replace it with parentheses, and then I'm going to fill that value with whatever the number that we're given for that variable. So where p was, p is same as 2 in value, so I am going to replace that and rewrite it like so. Okay, now we can evaluate this using the order of operation. Which is first? Should we evaluate the exponents first or multiply? Which comes first? Exponents always comes first. Okay, remember jam this. Grouping symbol, exponents, multiplication, division, and then finally addition, subtraction. So exponents before, so that means we need to evaluate 2 times 2, which is 4. And then to that we're going to multiply 3. And in this case, this just becomes 4 times 2. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 8 is equal to 20. Okay, let's go on to the next problem. This problem was also a common problem. Negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. When you see parentheses, what is the operation? Are we subtracting negative 3 from negative 2 here? No, that's not true. The operation is multiplication. You need to see this parenthesis as multiplication. When there's no operation, the default is multiplication. It's not subtraction. Okay, the parentheses mean multiplication, so this becomes negative 2 times negative 3 times negative 4. Okay, that parenthesis is there to sort of tell you that negative number belongs to 3. So that becomes negative times negative is positive, so positive 6 times negative 4. There is still the operation of multiplication. 4 times negative 6 times negative 4 is going to be negative 24. Because positive times negative is going to be negative. Next problem was negative 5 all squared. Okay, when you're dealing with negative 5 all squared, you still need to think about what is happening. When you have negative 5 being squared, what is being multiplied to itself 2 times? It's negative 5. So negative 5 times negative 5. This just becomes negative 5 is being multiplied to itself 2 times. So negative 5 times negative 5 is positive 25. In contrast, this negative 5 squared, what does that mean is this is really that negative 1 times 5 squared. The negative sign in front is really just the abbreviation for negative 1. and the operation is multiplication here. So 5 squared is 25 times -1 is -25. So that's what you should have. Okay, I want you to have a pause the video and see if you can work through this problem now that you have some idea as to what you need to do. Okay, I am not going to spend the time to go over it. Alright, let's get on to today's lesson. So observing a drone. So we are going to watch a short video and see what we're doing. This is a sketching of, and you're going to be sketching a graph to represent the height of the drone over time. So there is my drone. It's going to go up at a certain time and then it's going to come down, or whatever it's going to do. You're going to be thinking about how high is that drone relative to the time. Okay, so watch it carefully, please. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 16, 18, 19, 20, 21. So, okay. Alright, so I was just counting the seconds with you. Let's just go through that one more time. Okay? What's happening is at about 6 seconds, it starts rising up. Okay? And then it goes up, stays there for a little while, and then at about 18 seconds, it starts falling down. Okay? So this time I want you to go to Desmos cards, okay, and go to studentdesmos.com. You're going to use this link there, and you are going to actually try to sketch the graph yourself to represent this situation. We're graphing the time, the height of the drone over time. So the input is going to be the time. What is the output? It's the height. Okay, so and you're just going to be working on card number 1 to 3. If you are absent, you absolutely must do these exercises because you need the practice. Okay. Alright, oops, I don't mean to do that again. So I am going to assume that you've had a chance to go through the Desmos activity from card number 1 to 3. And I'm going to go over the answers with you. Okay. So we were given that this was the graph that can't remember his name he drew. Okay, so according to this graph, what is f of 0 and what is f of 3? F of 0 means what is when the input was 0, what was the output? When the input was 0, that means x was 0. Where was x is 0? Is right here. The output was also 0. Okay, so it's 0 because the y value is 0. The output is same as the y value. What's the y value of this point here? It's 0, 0. What about f of 3? So find your x is to be 3. Where is x is equal to 3? Go up there. Where is the graph? It is at 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 feet high above, or 4 meters above the ground. So that's why f of 3 is 4. F of 3 is not 3. The input is 3. We're looking for the output here. Remember this notation, f of something together means the output. Okay? Alright, then the next question asks you to compare f of 4 and f of 7. Which is bigger? Well, let's evaluate what is f of 4. F of 4 means when the input is 4. That means that when the x value is 4, find your 4 in the x-axis. What was y? Y was positive 4, right? This is 1, 2, 3, 4. That's positive 4 meters above. That means at 4 seconds, the drone was 4 meters above the ground. And f of 7, where is f of 7? Okay? How high was the drone? It was at 0. What does that mean? That means the drone had fallen down and he had landed to the ground. That's when he touches down. Okay, so which is bigger? okay, f of 4, which is 4, or f of 7, which is 0. Okay, we're not talking about the input value,